Well, we are here a few minutes late, but we are here. Thank you for your patience. Napes, along with Sean Salisbury. And Sean, it's great for you to come on with us, and we certainly appreciate everything you do during the football season. We'll put a bow on it today. Sean, you and I are the same generation. I started going to the New York Giants games at Yankee Stadium in 1962. And here we are in 2025. And the one constant in the NFL, Sean, if you put pressure on the quarterback, you got a really good chance to win. You make a quarterback, I don't care who the hell they are, uncomfortable, you got a chance to win. And we saw it again on Sunday with the Eagles. They dominated both sides of the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, and Grant, we see it every year. I don't remember the last time, even when the Rams, the greatest show on turf, they got a great goal line stand on the catch, the throw from McNair, that we would consider them because we called them the greatest show on turf. But make no mistake, they had good offensive line. They were physical up front. Finesse teams don't win championships. Look at the Texas-Ohio State game just to get off the beaten path. Why? How did Ohio State beat them? We know they got great perimeter people. They won in the trenches on both sides of the ball against a physical Texas team that got out physical in the game, which forced them to run sideline horizontally and go from a first and goal on the 2-foot line, and then you can't get in. In this game, I'm with you 100%. I can't remember a time. Grant, when I went to the playoffs, share a little story. We were playing the two teams we played in the playoffs at two different years that went on, were Super Bowl champions. Eventually, the Washington Redskins at the time, the Giants.
Yep.
And I can remember we came out, we had some finesse stuff going on, and both teams by the end of the game had physically, and we had great players. They just were a little more physical in the game and made more plays. In this game we saw this weekend, there's not one thing that the Chiefs did better than the other. They took Barkley out of the game, and the rest of the guys stepped their game up, knowing Spagnuolo was going to go in and do it. And they got physical with 4. Vic Fangio, no blitz in 4 quarters is brilliant. But remember, he got Spagnuolo at his own game. Remember how they beat Tom Brady when they were 18-0 and trying to go undefeated? They rushed 4, and Spagnuolo was the defensive coordinator for the Giants. Take a look at the Super Bowl at Tampa Bay, beat Kansas City. 2 tackles out, injured. What'd they do? The Tampa front 7 demolished the Kansas City Chiefs, and they won that game. So you can slice it any way you want. Physical, always and never, maybe hard to say in sports, but for the most part, teams that protect the quarterback win. Yep. Teams that dominate the quarterback win. Teams that don't. You can have all the finesse play. You could have gave me if 5 great quarterbacks, Rice, Randy Moss, and Gronkowski, Kelsey, and doggone Dave Casper. But if your line of scrimmage is getting their ass handed to them, it won't matter. And Brady at quarterback, it won't matter. And Philadelphia in this game, it truthfully looked like a heavyweight versus a welterweight. They demolished them. They dominated the coaching staff. It was as ill-prepared, or at least looked as ill-prepared as I've ever seen a Chiefs team look in the last 8 years. But that wasn't because of them. It was the Philadelphia Eagles who did everything right, and they controlled the line of scrimmage and, quite frankly, mauled the Chiefs. It wasn't even close as the score said it was.
No, it wasn't.
The game was over in the middle of the first quarter, in the middle of the second quarter.
Can you put in the layman terms, because you've been there, when you're under pressure, you're playing against a really good defense, and you know early that your O-line is not up to the task, and you're getting your ass kicked, and you're ending up on your rear end more than you need to be. Can you talk about the impact of a defense making a quarterback uncomfortable? What happens in that situation?
Sure can, to even the best of them. And great point here at the bottom. Mahomes was overly panicking. Mahomes looked as uncomfortable. The quarterback position, you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable anyway. It's not comfortable, right? And the ones that do that, and Mahomes has always looked comfortable, right? Like Brady, the great at Montana always looked comfortable. Well, they made him uncomfortable early, but they didn't get comfortable with it. Grant, I put it this way. In layman's terms, the best way I can describe it for the fan, stand at the water cooler, stand there and have 4 of your salespeople bum rush you without blocking and get hit about in the first 5 minutes when you open the doors at 8 o'clock in the morning, and then stay away but kind of fake them like you're going to do it. What is the natural? Your head's on a swivel. You're not looking at the coverage. You're staring at the guys that are about to hit you in the mouth. That's as simple as I can put it for what goes on, whether it's Mahomes or anybody else. And I think going into that game, they must have watched enough tape to know that they were outmatched, because I'm telling you, in the middle of the first quarter, I saw eye levels of quarterback and the way people playing changed. And what it does, even from then on, and that's why I love teams that come out fast and set a tone and a tempo, because what it does, like anything, the week before, if you saw somebody rush for, Spagnuolo watching what Barkley's done all playoffs, all season long. So he came in this game saying, that guy's not going to beat me. I'll live with somebody. I'll live with somebody else. And guess what? About 4 other guys beat him on offense. And then on the defense side, they dominated. So it's cumulative effect. I've always said, even though there was a lot of sacks, it's the hits and the pressure. So what happens, Grant, as a quarterback, human nature, whether you're a great one, you still at times can fall into this. We all do. The great ones just get out of it quicker. And in this game, Philadelphia never let him get out of it. And I'm thinking Mahomes thinking, okay, when are they going to blitz? And they just kept dominating them with 3 and 4. And they didn't have to pressure him with the secondary people. And they didn't. Is the tendency in human nature is, okay, what happens, Grant? First guy's not open. What do? Bam. Head goes to the lineman because you're saying, where am I going to bail? You're starting to look where you're going to bail as opposed to where I'm going to slide. Think about when Burrow was at his best, or Brady, or even Mahomes. Slide, reset, throw. In this game, your slide goes to first guy's not open, I'm gone. And so you start bailing into trouble, and the play hasn't developed. So you see guys aren't open. Then Mahomes doesn't see a secondary guy on the scramble to his right, throws the pick. Then gets hit, and the ball's coming out because he's creeping up in the line of scrimmage, and guys are being pushed back into him. It's not just the line, but the early part of bad line play and bad protection leads to a quarterback who most of us feel at times it feels invincible, but in truth, he's human. And in that game, their plan was far better. And in a boxing match, when the guy comes out and hits you in the face 15 times in the first round, what does it do? The next time you come out and play a little passive, you play a little defensive, you're not as aggressive because you're trying to protect your mouth from getting your mouthpiece knocked into the 4th row at the boxing match or in a cage match. And before you know it, now it's all going down. Now, when a guy is open, you saw him yank the throw to Mahomes to Kelsey into the ground when they were backed up.
Yep.
The cumulative effect of pressures. And then what happens? You borrow trouble, Grant. You start thinking somebody's coming, and on a clean pocket, you run into trouble. How many quarterbacks have we seen do that throughout the year when they're getting pressured by Spagnuolo's teams? So, yeah, it is. And like I said, I know we think that even the best of the best, but it happened to Brady twice against the Giants. And in particular, like I said, the first one. And the pressures, when it happens, the best of the great ones become average. The average ones become you may have to replace them. And the backup quarterback who isn't very good is out of the league in 2 years because he can't take it, okay? Imagine a goon flying around in hockey and hit you in the mouth the very first time you go out on the ice.
Oh, boy.
The next time you come out period 2 and period 3, you're trying to find where Dave Semenko is so he doesn't knock you out again. So there's no difference. It's just a different sport with a different wrapper. The cumulative effect is exactly the same.
3 Super Bowls ago, Jalen Hurts went up against Patrick Mahomes, the Chiefs. Hurts was brilliant in that game. He had the one mistake, the strip sack, which led to a touchdown, which really was the game. If you take that one play away, Jalen Hurts that day was the very best player on the field. Then he regressed the following season. He did not play well. Now we fast forward to 2025 and what he just accomplished. When you look at Jalen Hurts and evaluate his game, the first thing that comes to my mind is winner, because that's what he's been his whole career. How good is he right now? And do you believe that we're looking at an elite quarterback for the rest of his career?
I do, Grant. When we judge quarterbacks in this league, first of all, we expect too much of them early. Okay, we want everybody to be Mahomes his second year and go to 5, but It's not reasonable. Right? Or Stroud, or everybody expects now Jaden Daniels is going to dress in a phone booth every year. He's going to have a bad game or two, right? But Grant, what happens is with Jalen Hurts is I saw him my freshman year, or his freshman year, should I said, when he was at Alabama.
Yep.
And I was at the game in Arlington when Alabama kicked USC's ass. Sam Darnold starting year when he went on to have a great year too. And they didn't start Sam in that game either. Jalen Hurts came in that game and he was a freshman. And after that, about 3/4 of the way to it, I looked at my former starting middle linebacker, a couple of my defensive line officers. There are about 8 of us there. And I said, that is as poised a kid as I've seen as a freshman in a long time. When you ask me about Jalen Hurts, the first thing I've always said, regardless of the bad season, is he has no rabbit ears. He may internalize it, but you saw he doesn't have to tell you about it. He went out and performed and let everybody else say that away. Everybody dogged him. He didn't have to. His poise is the number one reason the guy was able to get through the crap and the shit that people put him through. I think he's as disrespected a starting quarterback as we have in the league. As far as, you know, why we have we have a major problem that if the guy doesn't, and I'm not talking about skin color at all. I'm talking about if he doesn't look the part of drop back, set your feet, throw from the pocket, go through progressions, then you're not a pure thrower like Marino or Brady or that group. And I'm talking about it because I was one of those guys. Drop back, set your feet, wasn't going to beat you with my legs. And yet you think about it, so we don't even think about it. Lamar's put up these magical numbers. What do you still hear? Guy really is a great pocket passer. I can show you tape after tape where he is. Even Josh Allen, we no longer call him the guy's what a dual threat. We seem to dog dual threat guys when it comes to delivering the ball from the pocket. So we just assume they're going to be kind of a good thrower sometimes, right? Yet the pocket guy could have 3 bad games. He said, he'll come around. So Hurts poise, number one. Number two is he went through, remember, coordinator change and quarterback coach change after they got to that Super Bowl and had to bring some, and those 2 guys got fired, the defense and offensive coordinator, later that year.
That's right.
And now he comes back and to talk about Sirianni. What I love about him is through all this, it would have been easy, get all that money, go into the tank and say, I'm getting paid. He doesn't play to get paid. He was a hell of a player at Channelview here in Houston. His dad's a coach. He comes in with the coach's mentality, and there is something to that. I'm just telling you, there's a toughness, there's a mentality. And he plays in what is probably as brutal a city on players if you're not doing well.
No question.
And make excuses than in sports. And to be able to deal with that, because even after the contract where he's making all that money, people said, is he our future? Is he a franchise guy? Well, how I judge Jalen Hurts is how did you handle the shit?
Yeah.
Quite well, thank you. One play in a Super Bowl, and he's the MVP in both Super Bowls.
Yep.
How do you play in the biggest moments of your damn life when it's on the field? And he has been a monster in the biggest moments on the biggest stage. Eli Manning's going to the Hall of Fame. Good numbers. 2 Super Bowl rings. This dude's been to 2 and should have been the MVP in both if it's not for a fumble. Well, here we are now, spring forward to now. And he's never going to lead the league in passing yards. He's always going to be in the mix because he wins, like you said, no matter where he's been from high school on. And I do believe winning's contagious, just like I do losing is. The guy gets it when it comes to winning, and you're not going to flush him. It would have been easy through all the shit in Philadelphia and say, you know what, this place isn't for me. I don't want to. Well, he looked him in the face, made no excuses, let everybody else do the talking. And even after that game, you saw him in the post-game press conference, there was no over-exuberance. No. There was no, oh, my gosh, I got him back. You know, Graham came up and was the one talking. He just stayed the course and was calm. And he plays the same way he lives his practice life and the rest of it. I love the guy. And even through the Sirianni and him talk, but it's the poise. He wins. He's resilient under pressure. And he quite frankly, has been the best player on the field in 2 Super Bowls. He really has been great. No question. I can judge a guy in September and he can play great. I want to know what you're doing when it's nut-cutting time. And Jalen Hurts, he's an elite player. He is. But people are going to not give him the credit he deserves because he doesn't look the part of a pocket drive. And he's a big, strong dude. He doesn't look the part, and he's from Oklahoma. But he's polished his game. Yeah. Remember when he went to Alabama, nobody gave him credit for went to Oklahoma, Lincoln Riley. Now look at him, throwing 22 of 29s and throwing for 280 and not turning the ball over, except a ball down the end zone on a throwaway. I love his poise, and he'll continue to win because I don't think he's out to prove that he's the best pocket guy, but he won't get the credit he deserves still because he doesn't look the 6'5" pocket guy. And when we talk of just being a pure passer, Jalen Hurts can play. Philadelphia got their guy, and he'll end up being the best quarterback. I don't know how Norm Van Brocklin played. He'll end, and no disrespect to Donovan McNabb or anybody else, he'll end up being the best quarterback in Philadelphia Eagles history.
No question
about
that.
It won't be close.
I mean,
it won't be close.
No question about that.
Yep.
If you were a general manager or a head coach and your team needed a quarterback, based on what you've seen the last 2 seasons, 3 seasons really, would you talk to Aaron Rodgers?
Do I get my first question would be, am I getting a healthy one? I'd like to hope he's healthy right now.
Let's assume he's healthy.
Question, what's that? Assuming he's healthy. You know what?
That he's right now healthy.
How quickly this has shifted. If you'd asked me 2 years ago, I said unequivocally top 5, I'll take him because the guy's a great thrower and he knows how to play. Right now, I wouldn't ask a lot of questions then 2 years ago. I am now. Does he care? Is he? I know he's competitive, but is he at the
What about
point
the circus atmosphere that you'd have?
Right. Is he going to deal with what is the sideshow bigger? It's like I say about a player: is the headache bigger than the talent? In
Great
this,
point.
is the sideshow better than the production and the talent and the performance we're going to get?
Yeah.
Does he make the Tennessee Titans better next year if he goes? Absolutely, yes, he does. Would I take him over 10? Would I have him right now in my top 10 choices to lead a franchise? See, when I hear the talk, well, what about San Francisco? I wouldn't take him over
No
Brock
way.
Purdy
Brock
right now.
Purdy's much better.
I wouldn't even consider it. So,
No.
What
about the Raiders? You're a Raiders fan.
Yeah,
What
can he
about
beat
the
out
Raiders?
Bill Levis? Of course. But do I think he'd go? Do I think for a year? I'm a Raider guy.
I know.
If you said that Tom Brady and Davis were going to say, "Give me a year, sign a 1-year deal," and that I'm convinced that he's going to be focused on not wanting to go out of his career like he's done the last 2 years, an injury, and then playing like this with all the sideshow. Yes, because he's going to give me more than Aiden O'Connell, even though O'Connell's a good young guy who's probably a backup spot starter throughout his career. I would. But my situation would have to be very mature, which I'm not sure the Raiders are right now. And I'd have to have good players around him. If you're asking if he can take a 4-13 team right now with average players around it like he could have early in Green Bay, the answer is no. But there's a handful of teams in this league that, yes, I would go. Could he start for the Giants tomorrow? Yes, even though it's New York.
You could start for the Giants tomorrow.
But the truth is, I would. There's more ifs by his name than there's ever been by his name, and I got to know if he still loves to play football. I know he loves to do a lot of it. Does he still love it? Because if he loves it, he'll give me enough to at least perform better than the guy I've had if I'm a Raider or a Tennessee Titan. But right now, and I love the guy, but his game. Put it this way: Aaron Rodgers isn't going to wear another Super Bowl ring the rest of his career.
No. Hey, I'll let you wear number 12 too with the Giants because it's available. So just let you know.
I will absolutely take it. But for him, I was going to say, if you're asking me, the answer is absolutely friggin' not. I'll coach it, but I ain't playing shit. Okay. But yeah, for Rodgers, he'll upgrade a few teams. But if you got a guy that's a tweener and you're trying to develop, like Indianapolis.
Yeah.
I'm not putting him in Indianapolis because I still that team. I'm still giving Richardson a chance to prove to me why we took him in the first 5 or so picks. So no, but a few teams, the Raiders, I'd take him there because I'm selfish and I want at least a shot. But he doesn't get longer than a 1-year deal. I can't invest a long time into him right now.
All right, Eli Manning, one of 6 players with multiple Super Bowl MVPs, more playoff wins, by the way, than Steve Young or Jim Kelly, more on the road than Tom Brady, 8th all time in yards and 7th all time in touchdowns. So C-Dog wants to know, can you explain why he didn't get in on his first ballot?
I wouldn't have voted him on the first ballot, and I love the Manning family. I actually was with Cooper this past week in New Orleans on Thursday night. I wouldn't have put him in the first ballot either. He's a Hall of Famer. Like we were talking about Hurts, Eli Manning saved some big moments, his best football in huge games, and made huge plays in those games. Here's why. One is, you look at his record, he's got as many interceptions as touchdowns, and he's got I think that his win-loss percentage in a career is even. I think he's 50-50. Now, that's why we put it on the quarterback. We never say that about the left tackle. We don't ever say, oh, he won half his games. It's always, we've made that a quarterback stat. But it's either he's thrown as many touchdowns as interceptions, or he's thrown as many, won as many games as he's lost in his career. His postseason says yes. So, but he's going to get in. But the reason why I wouldn't have put him in as a first ballot Hall of Famer, I'm not sure he gets in next year. I'm not, is because of the regular season turnovers, and he threw a lot, played a lot. One thing that's underrated is his durability. We always talk about his brother. Eli was damn near just as durable. I mean,
he was. He played every game except for the game that they decided not to start him against the Raiders when they went with Geno Smith. He played every game of his career.
That's exactly right. So it's the regular season that's keeping him from being a first ballot. It's the postseason that's going to assure him in the Hall of Fame. Does that make sense, Grant?
Yeah, of course.
And when you talk about wins and yards and throwing it all, listen, the yards we put up now are a little different because the way we're throwing and open offenses and going for it on fourth downs. Eli, I'd vote for him for the Hall of Fame, but I don't. He's not when I think quarterbacks, he is not a first ballot Hall of Famer.
That's fine. I watched him play every game of his career. I didn't miss a game.
Right.
There's no question that he was careless with the ball at times, but I would also say this. And maybe you could relate, maybe you can't. he was one of the few quarterbacks that at the end of a half or the end of a game, when there was 2 seconds left, he did not give a damn whether the ball was intercepted or not. He always threw a Hail Mary. He didn't give a damn how many interceptions he had. He had so many games that I watched him play where he got picked off at the end of a half or an end of a game on a Hail Mary. You know this. A lot of quarterbacks don't do that. They just take the ball and, I mean, especially at the end of the half. He always used to do it at the end of the half.
Yes, because they're afraid that it's going to hurt their stats.
Exactly. He didn't give a damn.
See, when I say what you're asking me, if you're asking me, do I think that some of those I like the guts. Listen, sometimes Favre was the same way. Hell, Favre, like Babe Ruth struck out, Reggie Jackson struck out. I mean, the chance takers that still win, I'm good with. If you don't have a set of balls, you're in the wrong sport, buddy. You're playing the wrong position. Wins and losses, 117 and 117.
Yep, I got you.
244 picks. Those numbers right there are exactly why he didn't get in on the first ballot.
Fine.
He's going to get in on the soon because of he put up a lot of wins and a lot of yards, but also had great postseasons. He just did. So tons of credit. Hell, he's got more Super Bowl rings than his brother, or tied with his brother, right? 2 and 2. Don't they might both have 2? So
yeah.
I saw some. Eli should get in before Phillip Rivers. Ben Roethlisberger is going to get in, but I don't know if Ben's a first ballot Hall of Famer either. Matt Ryan, who was an MVP, I don't think Matt Ryan's getting in. I don't with that. So
he's Eli not Manning will get in.
No, but first ballot Hall of Famer. It's the regular season wins and losses. You can't put him in on the first ballot. That's a rarefied air first ballot with those guys. But he will get in, and it won't just be because of his name. He's earned it in his postseason, 2 Super Bowl rings and MVPs. The guy had a hell of a career and about 250 straight starts or whatever it was, over 200. And if I had a vote, he would not have got in on the first ballot. But I can tell you what, in the next 5 ballots, he's getting in. He will.
Sean, thank you, man. You're a Hall of Fame person. I appreciate the hell out of you. You know that. I can't thank you enough for what you do for this show during the football season, but more importantly, your friendship and the banter that we have back and forth. And again, love you, buddy. Thank you.
I love you to you. You know how I feel about you, brother, and I'm here for you anytime. If something comes up, get me on. You know I love all the other sports. To your people who come on here every week and love you, I just want them to know I love the banter. I think you have such a great following, and they've been so good to us and so good to me. Yep. Thank you. And by the way, no, Cam Newton's not getting into the Hall of Fame, and he should not. Good player, dominated that one year. He's not getting in. He'll have trouble being a finalist. Now, he changed the position, but that's neither here nor there. I just wanted to get that in. But to you, thank you. I go to the ends of the earth for you, brother, and I appreciate the compliment. Thank you, and to your great followers.
Take care, buddy. That's great stuff.
Too, thanks.
Sean Salisbury, my favorite day of the week, Wednesdays in the afternoon at 3:00. All right, we got a busy day. Ryan in Sacktown coming up at the top of the hour with the pregame show. Kings, Pelicans, Jerry at halftime, postgame show, your phone calls. Thank you, everyone. Really appreciate you joining us here. We'll talk to you later today. Bye-bye.